Welcome to another episode of New Game Plus, a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game, and then we talk about it. My name is Dustin.
My name's Kenny.
I'm Nolan.
And this is episode 32, which is 1 away from 33 and 9 away from 41.
It's great math.
Nolan, Kenny, it's an honor to have you as a part of this very special episode today, and I thought that we would just roll with the theme for this question of the week. What is one of your favorite Bible stories and why?
Mine comes from Genesis, I think. In Genesis, where Joseph is, Joseph, the guy who had all the pretty robe.
Yeah, coat of many colors.
The coat of many colors, rainbow, whatever. His brothers sold him into slavery, basically, and because they were jealous of him. And his life goes on, and he gets really high up in Pharaoh's government. And his brothers need help later. They're starving because of the famine, and so they go to the Pharaoh's court or whatever, and Joseph's there, but they don't recognize him. And he kind of just waits a while, just lets the tension build, and instead of killing him or getting revenge or whatever, it's this really touching moment where he weeps and tells them that he forgives them and is that he's going to take care of them to bring his whole family here. And then him and his brother cry together. It's really touching.
Yeah, I love it. Awesome. Kenny?
I don't know, when you talk Bible story, the segue's about to happen, it makes it difficult because you want to pick something like Noah, although never Noah after this week.
Have you ever been an indecisive person?
I thought about being one once, but then I couldn't decide if I should be.
Right.
I'm gonna just say the Sermon on the Mount.
Word.
A lot of them, actually.
Bunches.
The word, speaking the word, if you know what I mean. One of my favorite Bible stories. You can't beat the resurrection, right? But
it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, kind of. One of my favorite, though, is actually in the New Testament. Y'all both hit up. No. Nolan did old. Kenny did new. I'll do new as well. I like right after the Gospels. One of my favorite stories is kind of about the start of the church. When that whole thing begins in the book of Acts, and it's just you've got all this early momentum, and you've got this just turnaround, and these once weak men are now bold, and they're boldly proclaiming things, even if that means their life, and for most of them it did. And so you just see the start of this revolution of epic proportions that would obviously go on to change the face of history as we know it even today. So many good stories. All three of these Bible stories, Joseph and his brothers, the Sermon on the Mount, the start of the church, all of those come from the same book, actually. I'm not sure if y'all knew that.
I didn't know that. Enlighten me.
Yeah, so the Bible.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah, that's the book for me, and apparently that was also the source material for Wisdom Tree when they created the game Bible Adventures.
Overview.
Bible Adventures is a 1991 release for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and a few years later it was ported to the Sega Genesis, I think in 1995. And it's actually 3 games in one, so it's not just a single narrative, as Kenny's already hinted to. It's got the story of Noah's Ark, it's got the story of baby Moses, and it's got the story of David and Goliath. And by got the story, I'm not sure if I mean what you think I mean.
Yeah, you're using that term pretty loosely.
Yeah, so it's 3 stories from the Old Testament, and you play multiple stages within each of these individual games. But each of them have some similarities. They're all side scrolling. It's all kind of platforming. type of a game. You've got a sprite that represents your character, whether you are Noah in Noah's Ark, you are Moses' sister in the baby Moses one, or you're David in the story of David and Goliath. You're all this same sized, same, representation of a character that is moving across the stage and accomplishing certain tasks. But each of the games within this has the same kind of mechanics, has the same kind of music, or the exact same music actually. There's one song pretty much throughout this entire game, and it's got the same feel for each and every game and each and every stage. And so that's basically it. The most ironic thing about this game for me is that, and I don't know if you guys know this, but this game was not licensed by Nintendo.
No, I think they did some slightly illegal stuff to get it published or something.
Yeah, possibly. So, like, if you look on the box art and the artwork and stuff like that, it says, like, 4Play on Nintendo. It's never... But if you look at other games, it was licensed by Nintendo. And Nintendo on their consoles, the NES, they made it so that only Nintendo-authorized games could be played on there. Whether you agree with that or not, that's... Well, I mean, that's what they do. And that's what game systems still do today. Like, you can only play Xbox games on the Xbox, etc. But this company... And I'm sure they're not the only one, but they configured their cartridges to emit a low voltage spike. So when the console turns on, it bypasses that lockout chip that Nintendo had installed on each of their systems so that this game could be played on the Nintendo.
It's like, the region lock, like you can't play PAL games on an NTSC.
Right.
It's like that, where you weren't supposed to be able to play the game if it wasn't, licensed, and so it's like a region lock, and they just said they didn't want to do that.
That's so shady.
That's very shady.
But they had to get Bible adventures to the general populace.
They didn't have to. They really didn't. Somebody should have told them they didn't
really,
have to.
really didn't.
Apparently it worked because they sold hundreds of thousands of copies, I think primarily in Christian bookstores around the world. Because this wasn't at your local gaming, store. Because once again, it was not licensed by Nintendo.
No. And the graphic for the cover is definitely sketchy. It looks so fake because 4Play on Nintendo is probably the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
One of the things that I remember, and I remember renting it, but I wouldn't think that they'd have it at our local renting store. I don't know where I played it as a kid, but my console was this light blue. Or not my console, my cartridge was this light blue color. That did they have different color cartridges for Nintendo? They did some, right?
Occasionally.
Occasionally. And those were always remarkable and were fun to get or collect. But this one was light blue, and you can tell even by the look of the cartridge that there is something shady going on. And I never knew back then as a kid that they had done this, but it makes a lot of sense, because why would Nintendo license such a video game?
I really don't know.
Gameplay.
So for gameplay, I thought that we could just talk about kind of like the stage by stage, and share our experiences with this masterpiece of a game. So we'll start with the first stage, Noah's Ark.
Of course we had to start at Noah's Ark. So, like, you're running around collecting animals.
Kenny's done. My turn.
Yep. Occasionally food. That's it.
There's Bible verses you can pick up.
That's true. You can pick some things up. You can interact with a few items, throw things. There's a few almost arguably puzzle-ish elements to, like, figuring out how you're supposed to pick up a few of the animals or get them to stand still long enough for you to go pick them up. And you stack them on your head, because apparently you can carry lots of animals
You stack them
above your head.
Really
high on your head.
Yeah, above your head, like
2 horses, a pig, and a cow.
A cow. I'm not sure if there's a
like you're
limit.
balancing them above you.
I definitely pushed the limits if there was.
I don't know if there is, but it's a big tower of weight. And then you collect those animals and go put them in the ark. And then when you collect all the animals on a level, it ends the level with a cut scene that shows every animal you've collected one at a time.
But Noah's standing up there in the ark, and he's got his hand out like in a stop motion, and then the animal comes and stops, and then it's like a thumb backwards motion, like he accepts the animal into the ark. Yeah, and he does that over and over again for each of the animals.
Over and over again.
I mean, just like the story, it's two animals, each. So you've got a male and you've got a female. And so in your early stages, you've got maybe 6 to 8 animals or so, including cows and pigs and snakes even. But with each level progression, there's more animals, there's more difficult animals to acquire, like these crazy birds that will not let you grab them no matter what. My major problem was chasing the monkeys because they're in the trees.
Pigs were the worst.
No, you just throw the hay bale.
Yeah, you had to like knock them out
first.
first.
I don't know that the first time. I just ran around trying to pick up pigs and they'd slip out of my arms.
Yeah, they're greasy little critters.
Uh-huh.
But here's my monkey situation. I'm climbing up the tree, following the mankey, and it climbs up and up until it completes the tree graphic, and then it continues climbing up into the sky and out of the screen eventually.
Like you lose.
So there's no way I can get the monkey anymore. It never came back. So like I guess he just climbed away into heaven,
He just skipped everything.
There was no way to get the monkey.
One, that's hilarious. 2, I'm pretty sure you called it a mankey, and I like it.
He did. My experience with this first stage started by just I was very frustrated because the floor, like the floor graphic, I guess the ground is not completed. Like the bottom of it is not all the way to the screen, and so you see the background pixels, which if you're in front of the ark, it's just more wood underneath the ground, or if you're in the forest, it's more trees. And so I looked at that the whole time, just so annoyed that, I mean, it's a small thing, but if you notice, it bothered me the whole time.
Yeah, it was pretty obnoxious.
It was weird to carry like something above your head and not use it. Like I kept throwing it. I kept wanting to throw it at another animal, like as an attack. But all you do is just carry it to the ark. That's all you do. And so it was hard for me to platform and keep grabbing animals instead of like using them in some way. There's no like puzzle to it. And so I guess I was just frustrated at their lack of creativity at the gameplay.
I would say reasonably so.
I mean, the physics are so bad too.
I got a cow stuck on a tree branch and I could not get him down. So
you threw him over there?
No, I didn't mean to.
I wish there was a
jump
real life story. That'd be a really good one in that case.
Of
getting a
cow stuck in the tree.
No, you getting a cow. You getting a cow stuck. That'd be great.
Well, Noah did that. It was in Genesis. Moving on to the second epic game, Baby Moses. So like I said, you are Moses' big sister, Miriam, and just like the story, you grab baby Moses, put him on top of your head, very similar to Noah's Ark, and once you get baby Moses on your head, you run from the left of the stage to the right. That's the Baby Moses game, and you avoid various obstacles along the way, like spearmen and spiders and swooping birds, and
the river.
And the river,
yeah, you don't drown.
Which you fall into time and time again. Disappearing platforms. You do all that until you get to the very end of the stage. Listen, you can just forget about Baby Moses and make it to the end of the stage on your own, and you will complete that stage, but it will tell you that you forgot your baby and you need to start over again.
Why?
I mean, that's the whole premise.
You
can't escape all the Egyptian enemies and all the spiders and all of that just by yourself and leave the baby at the start of the stage.
I feel like I threw the baby in the river on accident, and it told me something like "good job," but it was like you got him to the river or something, but it wouldn't let me like win the stage. Obviously, it's just a funny message that they put in there. Yeah,
Nolan. I don't think the story is just Miriam throwing baby Moses into the river. I think it has some kind of like.
That's the premise. No, trust me, that's how it goes.
you fall in there over and over again, and just like you had, graphic issues and just kind of like mechanical issues with the Noah's Ark stage, I had them with the Baby Moses stage, because there were a few times where I fell from a high position on the stage, and I guess I landed in the water in the river before the graphic fully rendered, before it got down there, whatever. I don't know the language to use, but then I was just standing on the bottom of the river, and so I was able to run from the left of the stage to the right of the stage without having any enemies get in my way.
That's in the speedrun, I think. They did a speedrun of this game at AGDQ.
Parts of the game.
And I think he does that. Yeah.
Yeah, but they probably do that on purpose. I did that a few times on accident.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when you can accidentally find a glitch, it's pretty blatant.
And then you've got the David and Goliath one.
Actually really similar to the Moses one. I mean, the Noah one, right?
Yeah, but way less terrible.
I guess I couldn't find the last sheep.
Well, it starts that way. See, you must have not gotten that far, because this one has the most evolution, I would say. All right, so it begins by herding sheep, so it's similar to the Noah one, but then later on you get a sling and a rock, and you can actually take out enemies.
You actually get to interact with enemies. And there's actually a boss.
Well, yeah, and a mini boss, right? But well, not a mini boss, but like
sort of
pre-boss right before him. I guess a mini boss.
It almost tries to be a video game.
Yeah,
for
like
1/3 of this video game, sort of.
I wouldn't even say 1/3, but at the end of the David and Goliath stage or game, you face the shield bearer, the one that's before the giant, and then you face the giant himself, which you only have to hit him once, but you've got to hit him in the head. And although this one had the most evolution, and so it's more like a game than anything else, it had the worst weapon mechanic that I've ever seen in a video game.
The rock throw?
The rock is thrown in an arc in such a way that it always misses the intended enemy. And it starts over your head and arcs, so like you've got to be at a distance from someone or directly under someone for the rock to hit them, and it's just an awful weapon mechanic.
Yeah, and you can't like change the trajectory. It's just gonna go that way when you throw it. You can jump and throw it, but it doesn't help much.
So which of these three, Noah's Ark, Baby Moses, and David and Goliath, did you guys find most difficult? We'll talk about that one and why.
I think I had the most trouble with the Moses one, because there's actually a lot of junk you need to dodge. I mean, yeah, you just go from left to right, but I died a lot trying to get past like the second stage, I think, in that story. Just because the physics are kind of laggy, and they're not easy to dodge things with, and they put a lot of stuff to dodge, and so that was not fun to me.
No, I agree. I don't know if that's mine, but very frustrating, because every enemy that hits you, one, drop the baby, and two, you fly the opposite direction of where the baby, or in the direction that they hit you, and so that throws you in the water, or throws the baby in the water, meaning you have to start the stage over either way, and it takes away some of your health, which we haven't even talked about. That what's your health represented by?
Your health is represented by stone tablets, or by like no, it's stone tablets.
Yeah.
That have like Bible verses etched on them.
And so the way to get your health back is to find these stone tablet icons throughout the stages, grab them, and throw them up above your head.
Throw it straight up in the air.
And then your screen changes to just this blue text box, and slowly the scripture is typed out in King James Version. And then after you're forced to read the Bible and playing a video game, you press the button and you've got a little bit of health back.
And in really terrible formatting as well. Like, it's just like wall of text style.
I'd say brilliant mechanic, but you can call it whatever. And then, yeah, just like you said, Nolan, have y'all ever I'm sure you have, right? Have y'all played Super Mario 2? I think that's the correct one I'm talking about.
Yoshi's Island?
No.
No, on the NES. The not popular one between the first one and the third one.
No. I know what you're talking about. I thought you were referring to Super Mario World 2, which is Yoshi's Island, which I thought was going to be hilarious if you were going to say that's where they got the drop the baby mechanic and you have to go get it back. But yes, I know Super Mario 2.
That's funny too. But I do just want to point out that Kenny made a note that Mario 2 is between 1 and 3, just in case anybody would.
Oh, thank you, Kenny.
Some people aren't good at number orders.
But, okay, so Luigi in that game, when he jumps, each of the characters in that game does something slightly different. So you can get Princess, and she can float because her dress puffs up with air.
Princess was the best, for sure.
And you can, Toadstool, whatever his name is. I think he might run fast, but he's also short. And so anyways, Luigi, he's got this jump where his feet are constantly moving, and so he like stays in the air longer but doesn't fly, and so it's this weird kind of jump. But then it's also as though he's always on ice, and I felt that's what it was like when I was playing each of these games, because there was this slide mechanic that they put in there for whatever reason to make it more difficult. But it means that you can't time jumps. It means that you can't, accurately make it to the platform you're trying to get to, and it makes the game so much more difficult than it has to be.
The whole game is an ice stage.
Is an
the
ice
floor
stage.
Is ice.
Yeah, absolutely. All 3 games in this game is an ice stage. My least favorite was probably Noah's Ark, just because it was the same thing over and over and over and over again, and it's just collecting animals and going to find them and figuring out. There's no creativity to that one, in my opinion, and with those terrible mechanics, it just made it a rough game. Kenny, what was your most difficult?
Most difficult for me was Noah's Ark, just because I couldn't keep carrying, and trying to was really, really difficult.
You didn't want to save the animals?
No, I did at first. Like the first level, since I picked it up, it was a brand new game to me. It was clearly not like a good game, but it was different and intriguing. And like I played through the first level, and I was like, cool, what are we gonna do now? And then it's the same thing again, but slightly different. And then the same thing again, difficult, but even worse and longer. And then the same thing again, and not fun, and like repetitive and rather pointless. And like they sort of tried to make some things a little bit puzzle-ish, but it didn't pull off. It was difficult enough to be frustrating at pointless points, but not like rewarding enough, or there was no like, when you did do something you didn't feel like you achieved anything because it wasn't actually hard. It was just like pointless difficult. I don't even know how to explain it. It is a really, really bad level. And so I say it's the most difficult because literally playing through it was difficult for me.
Just to have the willpower, that's what was difficult for you?
Exactly.
They're trying to go for realism, because I'm sure that it was very difficult for Noah to do that in real life.
Amen.
Hey, that'll preach, brother.
Which of these 3 did you enjoy the most? Don't say none of them. If you had to pick one, okay, the threat of you going to hell was in front of you. You had to play one of these and enjoy it. Which one did you enjoy the most? Noah's Ark, Baby Moses, or D&G?
None of them.
You're going to hell?
If I had to play this game?
If that's what it takes, I'm going to hell.
That's the worst.
Yeah, that's my answer. None of them.
Kenny?
David and Goliath. Just for the sort of attempt at kind of being video gamey. It wasn't good, but like that last like 2 minutes where you at least get to hit something besides jump and have an attack, as terrible as it was. I don't know, like it was the least bad. It was still bad, but like it was short enough that it ended and didn't try and keep you there for 40 days and 40 nights, like Noah's Ark did. And so it was awful.
Yeah, David and Goliath was mine by far as well. Not that that's saying much, but it actually had some likeness to what video games actually are and should be. I don't know if y'all noticed on the main screen for each of these and the continue screen, which I saw many times, which you have unlimited continues. That's one good thing about this terrible game. But there's something down at the bottom near their copyright that says graphics by Nina. And I'm like, are you proud of this, Nina? Like, are you happy, Nina, that you put your name on this project?
Nina.
Like, what is Nina doing now? And does she look back on this with fondness? Or did she change her name? I wonder if she changed her name and went into hiding.
She changed her name.
I feel like Nina was the guy who was programming this game. I feel like that was like his aunt.
Aunt Nina?
You can use my graphics if you give me credit.
And so he did.
Worst graphics.
Which also down there it says version 11. And so what did 1 through 10 look like? What
Can you imagine how bad like version 4 was?
Right.
Just look like blocks.
But not even graphics. Like, I cannot imagine what they're... I don't know what they were trying to do. I don't know what they were thinking.
I don't know.
And I don't know.
So bad.
I don't know how they got to the end, how they got to version 11, and they got together around the table and they were like, "This is it, guys. This is the one that we want to release, not through Nintendo, but on
finally
our own."
Yeah.
Right. We can't actually release it, so we'll do it on our own.
They're like, we finally achieved perfection with this.
Great job, Nina.
No, but like, it wasn't developed by video game creators.
Right, and it shows.
Wisdom Tree, they develop and publish Christian video games.
Where's the other ones? What other Christian video games?
I'm sure there's other ones, but
yeah,
still,
they weren't able to publish them because they couldn't break the law again.
I think they did other games like Legend of Zelda and...
I'm gonna kill you. That's not funny. Like,
it's not at all.
It was made by people that worked at a church in 1990.
And it was like a hip church, so they were able to produce things like this.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to be on the cutting edge.
Yeah, and they definitely were on that edge. It's nice.
Well, just so you know, and just so y'all can all be content and happy with life, and just be able to look outside and smile, just knowing that we live in a good world. Wisdom Tree, the developers, they're still active today. And in fact, a refurbished PC port of Super 3D Noah's Ark was released on Steam just last year. So please, guys, go and... Go and...
What?
I can't even finish telling you to go pick up this game.
I'm getting it.
Yeah, it's so
What's
bad.
it called?
I'm not repeating.
I'll find it.
You'll have
Don't
to listen
worry.
to the podcast.
I'll find it.
Aged.
So, this game and its age. Do you think age has anything to do with it, or do you think it's just a bad game to begin with?
I think it was a masterpiece from the beginning.
And it's only age
Still
that
is.
has made it so degraded over time. Because for me, I think this is just a bad game to begin with, and it's only gotten worse over time. The mechanics were awful to begin with, and they're more awful now. It was glitchy to begin with. It's somehow more glitchy now. From baby Moses falling in the water but not drowning, all the way to animals just disappearing from the screen. It was just a bad game to begin with, and now that we're 25 years removed from its genesis...
But
Hey.
It's just a much, much worse game. I think it's aged extremely poorly.
yeah, this has got to be up there in some of the worst games we've played category. And, like, it just isn't even like most of it didn't even feel like a game. Like, again, I keep railing on the Noah's Ark section, but like, it's like Pokemon minus everything good. Like, just go collect pointless things for no reason.
So nothing like Pokemon.
So, yeah.
Exactly. Like
the opposite
it's like the
Pokemon.
tagline from Pokemon, but that's it.
Oh, gotta catch them all?
Yeah, gotta catch them all.
Got you.
But I don't even know. It's just it was a really rough game. It was poorly done in the first place. Yeah. I don't even know what to say. I'm like flabbergasted by how bad it was. What gets me is I feel like a game like this, and maybe people just really were poor at what they were doing. But it's so bad that like if the point of releasing a game that's like Bible based is to like encourage positive experiences in kids with the thing that you're trying to like encourage as a good thing, and your game is this bad, I feel like you're almost working against yourself.
You're doing
Like
the
you either were literally being counterproductive to what you were trying to do, or you were just trying to sell something and it was terrible, and you wanted to make some money because you knew there's people who would buy a Bible-based video game that wouldn't buy typical games or buy this in addition just because it had the title. And either way, just the idea of that bothers me.
Look, I found the TV commercial.
Dude,
that
I
was
saw that there
for
was
this
one.
game.
I almost
um,
watched it and then didn't.
It's choice. Okay, so these kids are playing Bible Adventures, and their mom's like, bringing them a snack, and then the mom's friend's like, "Aren't you worried that they're playing a little bit too much Nintendo?" And she goes,
my.
"Oh no, because now they're learning Bible stories." Lady, the only thing your kid's learning is the worst physics ever in video game history. Like
It's so true.
a really funny commercial. Very 90s, very choice. It's in my favorites. But I mean, what Dustin said, it's too hard to play now, and it was too hard to play originally. Like if I would have played it in 1991, I wouldn't have been born yet, but
So it would have been a miracle.
So it would have been a miracle, and it would have been the greatest game. But if I would have played this game when it came out, I would have hated it. So time has only made it more funny, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I did laugh a few times. Like I didn't just hate the whole experience. I grinned at a few places. I chuckled a few times. I cringed a lot, but it wasn't a good game by any means.
The final shell shock.
New Game Plus status. Do you say that our viewers should play this game, find an unlicensed copy, stick it into their Nintendo system, and then let it bypass the system so that it can actually play? Do you give this game your New Game Plus status, Kenny?
False.
So you don't condone illegal activity?
I don't. I am generally speaking anti-piracy, and it's not quite the same in this case, but
No,
it was
it's a little
shady, and don't be shady, and don't make terrible games. And when there are terrible games made, don't play them unless you have to for a podcast.
I'm gonna say yes because
No, you're not.
yeah, I'm
You're
gonna say
not.
yes. Dustin,
You're
what do you
not.
think?
We're not gonna let you.
I'm gonna
Like,
say
we know
yes.
you're lying.
If I
No,
say
I'm
yes,
gonna say yes because my kids are learning Bible stories while they play too much Nintendo. Dustin, you go.
no, that's the commercial. Listen, you've just made it so that if I say yes, then this game is New Game
know.
Plus certified, and then
I
our
know.
stuff means nothing.
I know, so let's hear it. Come on, do it.
No, this game is terrible and does not deserve anybody's New Game Plus status. The book is better.
The book is better than the movie and the game.
The book is always better.
Our friend Andrew wrote us an email. He played the game for about an hour this week, and he said that he almost died in real life. He said this game. He said this game sucks in like every aspect. Don't play it. I did get a few good laughs out of it. Like if you accidentally throw baby Moses into the water, God just plants you a new, obviously expendable Moses at the beginning of the level. I feel like this game was made for overly protective parents who wanted their kids to have fun, but thought that Mario was too secular or something. I can't think of any other reason anyone would buy this game. I'm trying to picture a child in my head getting this game for Christmas, and it makes me laugh, and it also makes me sad.
Yeah, like you laugh and then you start thinking about it more and you cry a little.
I almost died in real life. That's the funniest
It's so
thing
true.
I've ever heard from a viewer.
That needs to be our disclaimer this week. Like, if anybody
You might
disobeys
Don't
us
play
and plays this game,
It's true.
it's bad for your health.
That's so funny.
Our friend Eric wrote us on Facebook, and he said, "So perhaps I have a very different definition of what an adventure entails. I do think, however, if done properly, you could make a great game out of some of the awesome stories in the Bible. But then again, I found out it's also possible not to. The coolest thing about this game has nothing to do with the game, but rather Wisdom Tree, the company that made the game. They made the game without them even being licensed by the juggernaut that is Nintendo. How they got the game cartridges past Nintendo's 10 NES lockout chip is anyone's guess. Considering the death grip they had on all third-party developers, this is pretty fascinating. In the end, however, the adventures were closer to the drudgeries."
I guess if you are going to give them props, like they clearly had some amount of ingenuity. They just used it all on trying to get this unlicensed game to work on the console, and none of it on the game design itself.
Yeah, like that's their one success in this game.
They
Nothing
used
about the
elite
game
hacks.
itself, but that they were able to hack through the system. Eric brought up a point that I wonder, and I don't want us to spend too much time on it, but do you think a good video game could be made from a Bible story?
Oh, sure.
Like what Bible story?
Like, ultimately, take your pick. To some degree, like, what makes a game fun is unrelated in a lot of ways. It's definitely part of the whole experience, but to the story. Like, you can have good mechanics where you jump and move and have enemies and a goal and life and actually make progress or get punished when you don't do things badly and not be repetitive. Like, you can make a good game and then dress it up pretty much however you want. And they did like the opposite.
Yeah, and there are epic stories in the Bible, so it's not like it's just a bad story that you've got to come up with a good game to. So there are
Yeah,
Oh,
that's not the
absolutely.
problem.
there are some good things. I just wonder if like the sacredness of that, to some degree, and the just the distinct narrative and genre, if that prohibits fun from a video game of it. And I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if I've ever played a good quote unquote Christian video game.
I'd say you can't make it.
You don't think there can. Kenny
No.
thinks there could. I'm ambiguous, and so we're moving on to our final email from Anton, and he emailed us and he said, "It's definitely a very simple game with not a lot of fun mechanics and gameplay. Since I'm writing this and playing on the day of the podcast recording, I'm doing my best to get as far as possible. My biggest problem with this game is that I just don't like platformers. I'm not sure why, but I've never been a fan, and this game definitely didn't change my mind." Well, Antonin, it's not going to change
It
anybody's
wouldn't.
mind. He said, catching animals and somehow would fall off when you jump while others wouldn't. Was there a difficulty to individual animals? I'm just not sure. One thing that I did like about the level is that I could jump like Tarzan between trees, and the idea of finding a banana to lure a monkey was pretty cool as well. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the game. I wasn't super into it, but it's not the worst I've played for sure.
Agreed.
Well, disagreed. It is the worst I've ever played in my life.
I was just agreeing that it is tough. I mean, Godzilla was pretty bad, but there's something out there worse that I've played.
And just for those viewers that aren't familiar, Godzilla is not in this game. That was a previous game that we played that Nolan was just comparing this game to.
Oh, Godzilla it's a Easter egg. You have to
If
find
Godzilla
it.
was in this game, it would be better.
Yeah, I'd say so.
You gotta catch 2 Godzillas and fit them into the ark.
Guys, thank you for writing to us. If you are a regular viewer, if this is your first time listening, I'm sorry if this is your first
Yeah,
episode.
this is
Please,
the first episode you listen
to
to.
a different episode. But if you want to be featured in these episodes, then before Saturday every week, if you would just send us in your commentary, your feedback via email at ngppodcast@gmail.com or through Twitter or Facebook, NGP Podcast, even on SoundCloud. I mean, you can find anywhere anywhere and submit your commentary over the particular game that we're playing that week, and we'd love to include that as a part of our episode each and every week. But now it is a time where we are going to randomly select our new old game from our Retro Master list. The game that we're going to be playing for the next 7 days is a 1988 video game based on a violent, futuristic cyberpunk sport called Speedball.
Interesting.
Very interesting. I believe that it is both a single player and a multiplayer game. I don't know if we'll be able to have that functionality this week, but that would be cool.
That would.
What console was it on? Or what platform?
Speedball was originally released for the Atari, but then it was later ported to PC and Sega and other things like that.
Gotcha.
So, play along with us this week. Speedball. We talked last week just briefly at the end of the episode about starting up a New Game Plus Steam group, and we talked off air about that, and I think that's something that we're going to do, guys.
Yeah.
Yep. Actually, you can go check it while you're listening to this, because by then we should have the group up, and just join it. Request to join. I'm not exactly sure if we have to screen the joins, probably, but it'll be up. We'll just call it New Game Plus, and find us, and we can play multiplayer games. And just, I think there's a chat on there too, so that'd be cool too to get in touch with us.
Viewers could do us one more favor and make sure to not play Bible Adventures ever, and that would help our podcast be more successful.
There are tons of great things about having a Steam group. One, as you said, we could play games together, not even retro games, but we could play some retro games together as well. But also, we can see what each of the viewers, and you can see what we're currently playing, and you can keep up to date like that. And you could also send us 3 games via Steam. So thank you. We really appreciate it.
Great.
Find us on our social media. We'll have links to our New Game Plus Steam group throughout the week. You can definitely find us on SoundCloud or iTunes, whatever you're listening to us on now. If you haven't yet, would you subscribe? And then you could also rate and review us, so that would help others to be able to find us, and then they could possibly join the viewing crew as well. We've got to go. We're going to go read through the actual Bible in penance for playing this terrible game. Until then, I'm still Dustin.
I still hate this game.
I'm Nolan.
I'm Noah, and this has been New Game Plus.
What?
Sorry, I didn't think of that.